Men over 60, you've been told masturbation is healthy, but what if that's not the whole story? Gentlemen, let's be honest. You've probably never asked your doctor this, but I know it's something millions of men quietly wonder about, especially after 60. If I'm still masturbating regularly, maybe even daily, what exactly is happening inside my body? Is it helping, or is it hurting? Could it be supporting my prostate or silently making things worse? You've probably heard both sides. Some say it keeps the pipes clean, helps you sleep and lowers cancer risk. Others say it weakens your bladder, drains your energy, and harms your testosterone. So what's the truth? This isn't about guilt. This is about understanding your body after 60. We're going to walk through the actual science behind what happens when you masturbate daily, how it affects your prostate, hormones, energy, circulation, and overall health. And by the end of this video, you'll have a much clearer picture, not based on myths or fear, but real data, real health, real choice. I'm Dr. Moore, and after more than 30 years working with men over 60, I've seen this pattern again and again. Men feeling tired, unmotivated, with lower drive, and no one really explaining why. So let's begin where most men never do, with the tiny gland that most of us ignore until it causes a problem. If this topic speaks to you, type 1 in the comments. And if you're new here, we share clear, science-based advice every week, just for men over 60. Hit subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss what could change your health for the better. Most men don't even think about their prostate until something feels off. Maybe it's waking up 2 or 3 times a night just to pee. Maybe it's that slow, weak stream that used to be strong and steady, or that uncomfortable pressure down there that won't go away. And yet, the prostate is one of the most important glands in a man's body. It sits just below your bladder and wraps around the urethra, the tube that carries urine and semen out of the body. Its main job, to produce the seminal fluid that protects and nourishes sperm. Think of it like the delivery truck that keeps your reproductive system running smoothly. But here's what most men don't realize. After 50 and especially after 60, the prostate doesn't stay the same. It starts to enlarge. This is known as benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH. It's not cancer, but it can feel like something's wrong, that urgency to urinate, even when your bladder isn't full. That frustrating feeling that you can't quite finish. The weak flow, the stops and starts, the constant interruptions. And here's where it gets serious. As the prostate grows, it can press against the urethra and bladder, making urination more difficult. But even more importantly, your risk of prostate cancer increases significantly after age 60. That's why so many men begin quietly wondering, am I doing something that's making it worse? Is my lifestyle, especially things like frequent masturbation, helping or hurting this gland? These are not bad questions. In fact, they're the right ones, because understanding your prostate is the first step to protecting it. So now that we understand how important and how fragile your prostate becomes after 60, let's talk about something that shocked even the medical community. Back in 2016, researchers at Harvard University published one of the most comprehensive studies ever done on prostate health and ejaculation. This wasn't a small survey. They followed over 31,000 men for nearly 2 decades, and what they discovered was eye-opening. Men who ejaculated at least 21 times per month had a 33% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to men who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times a month. Let that sink in for a second. The more frequently these men ejaculated, whether through sex or masturbation, the less likely they were to develop prostate cancer later in life. And this wasn't just a fluke. A separate study in Australia came to a similar conclusion. It seems that ejaculation might have a protective effect on the prostate. So, what's the explanation? One theory is something scientists call the prostate stagnation hypothesis. It's simple, really. Your prostate produces fluid every single day. If that fluid just sits there day after day, it can build up waste products, old cells, toxins, even potential carcinogens. Kind of like letting dirty water sit in a pipe for too long. But when you ejaculate regularly, you're essentially flushing the system, keeping the pipes clean, encouraging healthy cell turnover, and possibly reducing inflammation, which we now know plays a major role in many cancers, including prostate cancer. And here's something else. Regular ejaculation may also help regulate stress, balance hormones, and promote better sleep, all of which indirectly support prostate health too. But before we rush to say, great, so I'll do it every day, let's slow down for a moment. Because like anything in health, more isn't always better. Ejaculating regularly, even through masturbation, can be good for your prostate. But here's where things get tricky, gentlemen. Just because something is good doesn't mean more of it is always better, especially when it stops being a conscious choice and becomes something you do without thinking. Let me ask you a few honest questions. If you're over 60, these might hit closer to home than you expect. Are you doing it because you feel relaxed and connected, or because you're bored, restless, or lonely? Do you feel energized afterward, or a little more tired, flat, or empty? Do you find yourself needing more intense videos or longer sessions just to feel something? Has it become part of your routine like brushing your teeth, but without joy? If you said yes to any of those, don't be alarmed. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you, but it might mean that a once healthy habit has become a coping mechanism. Here's what's happening underneath the surface. Each time you climax, your brain releases a wave of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. But the more often you stimulate that reward system, the more your brain starts to adapt. The receptors dull, the response weakens, and what used to feel satisfying now barely registers. That's when some men describe feeling numb, not just down there but emotionally. Less motivated, less focused, less interested in the things that used to bring them joy. And that's not just about hormones, it's about habit. Because when you use masturbation as a way to escape rather than connect, you disconnect from your own body in subtle ways. Your energy shifts, your drive softens, your sense of manhood fades just a little, not in one big crash but in quiet daily withdrawals. It's like leaving the faucet on just enough to drip. One drop at a time every day until one day you realize the tank feels empty and you can't quite say why. But here's the truth, you don't need to quit. You don't need guilt or shame, you just need to notice, to pause, to ask yourself, is this bringing me back to myself or slowly pulling me away? Because the real issue isn't frequency, it's disconnection. And sometimes, when that disconnect goes on for too long, your body begins to send signals, quiet ones at first, a little heaviness in your lower abdomen, a strange ache in the groin, moments of numbness or discomfort that come and go. Most men ignore them, but those little whispers, they are often the first signs that your pelvic system is under stress, and your body is asking for something different. Most men think of masturbation as something that only affects the mind, or at most the hormones. But the truth is, when it becomes too frequent or too mechanical, it can start affecting your body in ways you might not expect. Many of these symptoms have nothing to do with your prostate itself, but with the pelvic floor, the complex web of muscles, nerves, and blood vessels that support your reproductive system. There's a condition called pelvic congestion syndrome, more common in women, but increasingly recognized in men, especially older men who sit for long hours or engage in frequent sexual activity without enough recovery time. It can feel like pressure, discomfort, or a constant sense of fullness in the lower body. Some men describe it as if something is stuck or inflamed. Others just feel off. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Repeated stimulation, especially in poor posture, like slouched in a chair or hunched over at a desk, can place subtle but chronic pressure on a little-known nerve, the pudendal nerve. This nerve runs from your lower spine down through the pelvis, and it's responsible for sensation and control in the genitals and perineum. Too much pressure on it, from prolonged sitting, bad positioning, or frequent clenching during orgasm, can lead to pudendal neuralgia, burning, numbness, or even pain during sitting or climax. And the irony, it's not the act of masturbation that causes the problem. It's how you do it, how often, and how you recover afterward. The human body has a quiet way of speaking, especially as we get older. And when it comes to the prostate, those early warning signals are often subtle but important. Most men wait until something hurts or until their daily routine gets disrupted. But by then, what could have been a small adjustment might require serious treatment. So if you're over 60, whether you masturbate regularly or not, I want you to start tuning into these 5 red flags. They might seem minor on their own, but together, they paint a picture of a prostate that's under stress. 1. Frequent nighttime urination, waking up once in the middle of the night to pee. That's not unusual, but waking up 2, 3, even 4 times every night, that's a sign that your prostate might be pressing against your bladder. This is one of the most common symptoms of BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia, where the prostate enlarges and disrupts normal flow. You might not feel pain, but sleep disruption like that slowly erodes your energy, mood, and recovery. 2. Weak or interrupted urine stream. You go to the bathroom, but the stream starts weak or stops midway, or you feel like you have to push harder than you used to. That's because the urethra, the tube that carries urine, passes right through the middle of the prostate. When the prostate swells, it squeezes the urethra like a clamp, and that clamp doesn't just affect urination. It also affects ejaculation, circulation, and overall pelvic comfort. 3. Feeling like you never fully empty your bladder. You just went, but a few minutes later it feels like you have to go again. Or worse, you constantly feel a low, dull pressure. That leftover urine can irritate the bladder lining, and over time it raises your risk of infections, bladder stones, or worse. If you're constantly second-guessing your urge to urinate, that's your body trying to tell you something. 4. Pain or discomfort during ejaculation. This is a red flag that many men brush off. But if you feel burning, stinging, or pressure when climaxing, especially if it's new, it could signal inflammation of the prostate, a low-grade infection, pelvic nerve irritation, or even chronic prostatitis. These conditions don't always start with pain. They often start with a sense that something's off. Don't ignore it. Blue circle 5. Fatigue, low libido, or erectile issues. This one's less direct, but just as important. When your prostate is inflamed, congested, or hormonally out of balance, it often shows up as a lack of drive. Not just sexual drive, but mental drive, physical energy, and even motivation. Why? Because the prostate is deeply tied to your testosterone levels, blood flow, and nervous system balance. When those systems are out of sync, you feel it in your whole self. And here's the truth. None of these symptoms automatically mean cancer, but they do mean something's off. And the sooner you respond, the easier it is to fix. Don't wait for a crisis. Don't rely on internet forums or guesswork. If your body is sending signals, listen, and let a professional take a look. Because the strongest men aren't the ones who power through the pain, they are the ones who know when to pause, reflect, and adjust course. Let's take a step back for a moment. Because by now, you've probably realized something important. Your prostate doesn't function alone. It's not just about what you do in the bedroom, or whether you masturbate every day or once a week. If you're currently releasing every day, try spacing it out to every other day, or even just 3 to 4 times a week. This alone gives your body space to restore dopamine sensitivity, to replenish vital nutrients, and to allow testosterone levels to rebound naturally. You may notice within days that your energy feels different, like something inside you is waking up again. Your prostate is part of a much larger system, a system shaped by what you eat, how you move, how well you sleep, and how you handle stress. So if you truly want to support prostate health after 60, here's the bigger picture, the whole body strategy that makes everything work better. 1. Eat prostate-supporting foods. Nutrition is medicine, especially when it comes to inflammation, hormone balance, and cancer prevention. Here are some simple, powerful choices. Tomatoes and watermelon, rich in lycopene, a powerful antioxidant shown to reduce prostate cancer risk. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale help flush excess estrogen and support detox pathways. Fatty fish like salmon or sardines, loaded with omega-3s that reduce systemic inflammation. Pumpkin seeds and Brazil nuts high in zinc and selenium, minerals essential for testosterone and prostate tissue repair. And what to cut back on? Processed meats, added sugars, and excessive dairy, all of which can raise inflammation and disrupt hormone levels. This isn't about going vegan or strict. It's about giving your body the building blocks it needs to heal and stay balanced. 2. Move your body every day. You don't need a gym membership. You don't need to lift heavy weights. What your prostate and your entire pelvic system needs is movement. Brisk walking for 30 minutes a day helps regulate insulin, lower inflammation, and boost circulation to the lower body. Gentle stretching, especially around the hips and lower back, keeps the pelvic floor relaxed and resilient. Even 10 minutes of squats or stair climbing a few times a week can increase testosterone and improve blood flow. The goal? Avoid stagnation. Blood that moves equals tissues that heal. 3. Reduce chronic stress. Stress is silent, but deadly. When cortisol, your main stress hormone, stays high, it suppresses testosterone, raises inflammation, and exhausts your nervous system. And yes, ejaculation can temporarily relieve stress. But if that's your only outlet, you're relying too heavily on one tool. So expand your toolkit. Deep breathing exercises before bed, a walk in the park without your phone, laughter, music, meaningful conversation, even 10 minutes of meditation or prayer each morning. It's not about doing more. It's about calming the systems that allow your body to heal. 4. Get checked. Even if you feel fine, this may be the most important advice of all. If you're over 50 or have a family history of prostate issues, get a PSA test at least once a year. It's simple, it's fast, and it gives you a baseline. Too many men wait until something hurts. But prostate cancer, inflammation, and BPH often grow quietly until they don't. So be proactive, because the sooner you know, the simpler the fix. Here's what it all adds up to. You can't out-masturbate a bad diet. You can't ejaculate your way past stress or ignore the signals your body is quietly sending. But when you put it all together, food, movement, recovery, awareness, you don't just protect your prostate, you reclaim your strength, your clarity, your confidence as a man. If this gave you clarity or helped you feel seen, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend who might need it. Subscribe for more real conversations backed by real science. And leave a comment. What's one health question you've always had, but never felt comfortable asking? Let's keep breaking the silence together.